Hello and welcome to another quarterly Locomotive product review. Got a real special treat for you guys this quarter rather. So in the background there is a Lionel SD70MAC, lettered for Union Pacific and very heavily weathered by the actual owner. This is on loan to me. This is another loaner, and my wife would castrate me publicly if I lost my mind and bought something like this. For you HO scale guys, you already know what this box means. But for everyone else out there, this is a Scale Trains museum quality Union Pacific Big Blow GE Turbine. And last quarter I started out with the O scale model. This quarter I'm going to go ahead and jump right off the deep end, start out with this gorgeous turbine engine. Now, as you can see, it's three separate pieces, and I am going to I'm going to pull each one out and review them separately. To start off, these come out just like that Athearn did, basically. You pop it out of the foam cradle, slide the clear protective sleeve off, pop open the plastic cradle, and there she sits. This is the auxiliary fuel tender for this locomotive, and as you can see, there is crazy detail on this thing. I'm fighting with my camera to try to get it to zoom in, but you got the emergency service reservoir right there, you have the air brake piston there, you've got the triple valve right there. Prototypically correct 6-axle trucks for this fuel tender. The hand railing detail on this thing is amazing. They are very thin plastic handrails, so you do need to be mindful of that. And the walkway up top, this grate is see-through. As you can see, it is etched metal, and it is separately applied, and I'm sorry that my camera is fighting with me on this. This headlight does work. This is a directional headlight, and it works amazingly. You have a scale coupler on the end, separately applied ladders, separately applied fuel lines with the valves and the MU receptacles and all that wonderful stuff. Coming around here to the B end of the fuel tender, you have the handbrake, more ladders, more MU receptacles there, MU hoses right here. I'm sorry if you can't see it, I'm doing what I can with what I got. The big air line here, and of course a scale coupler. This is cool. If it seems like I'm going through this one quickly, it's because this ain't mine. B, it's got a whole mess of fine detail on it, and I'm trying to minimize my handling of this thing. So if I miss something, I'm sorry, but I don't want to damage this model if I can help it. So here we go to the turbine. And this is the same deal. You slide it out of this plastic sleeve. Right here is the lock for the plastic cradle. Open that up, and out pops the turbine. Also, there are little cradles here underneath that the wheels sit in, so you got to pop those off. Alright, and same deal here. But wait, there's more. These doors, they actually slide open. Isn't that just freaking ridiculous? You can see the details inside for the turbine. These hand rungs right here, these grab irons are separately applied, as are the stirrup steps, the little ladders, lots of rivet detail. You know, these things are, this is an incredible model. I tell you what, you have these doors on the side of the turbine unit, that just puts it over the top in my book. Trying to be very careful with this thing. Very well done Union Pacific shield. All of the lettering on this model is 100% legible. You can see there's some incredible truck detailing on this. You've got the speed cable there. You got the brake pistons, the brake rods, sanding lines on either end. This thing is so cool and heavy. For an HO scale model, this thing is heavy. It's got a little bit of weight to it. I'll tell you what. You have, this is the other side. It looks pretty much the same. It's got pretty much all the same features. Looking up at the top, you can see the turbine exhaust vent, the big blowhole, which I'll go ahead and spin that around so y'all can see down in there. You can see the MU receptacles there, the MU hoses, the airline, the big airline, another separately applied ladder. This thing's got separately applied details out to yin yang, y'all. This walkway up top is etched metal and separately applied. This grab iron here is separately applied. Forgive me, y'all, I don't really know the terminology on 100% of what all this stuff on these turbines is, like this big thing here. I don't know what that is or what it does or did on the real thing, but I know it's cool looking. Almost kind of looks like an air intake or supercharger type of deal because of that right there. I could be wrong. If you know what it is, you're watching the video, feel free to drop it in a comment and let me know. But yes, this thing is ridiculous. And here is the other end of the car, of the locomotive rather. Oh, come on, camera. You got various MU cables, cable ports here. You got the air lines, the MU lines. You got a whole mess of detail. This thing is nuts. So we'll put this back in this plastic cradle. Put the wheel set cradles back on. And now that I'm done fighting with the packaging, we will look at the cab, the A unit in this locomotive. Alright, so we got the A unit of this locomotive out. Again, you have these little wheel cradles here that need to be removed before you set this on the track, if you were to set it on the track. And again, you have loads of detailing. I don't even expect this level of detail in an O gauge model, y'all. The cab is immaculate. You have all of the various piping and the air brake apparatus, the speed sensor there on the center truck, air tanks, fuel tank, see-through vents, as y'all can see. This thing is ridiculous. And I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I have no clue what half of this stuff is on this engine, but I know that I like it. It looks damn good. Come around over here to the nose of the locomotive. You see that gorgeous Union Pacific. Maybe you can if my camera will cooperate. It's a little better. You can see that gorgeous Union Pacific shield and the wings. Lots of separately applied grab irons and hand railings. Well, hand railings, grab irons. Over here on the locomotive engineer side, and I'm not sure how well you can see it, but it's even got separately applied rear view mirrors. Wow, this thing is nuts. Got separately applied see-through little grills, metal grills here. This thing's incredible. Oh, but wait, there's more. So you see this video and you think, well, I want one, but damn, all I have is a little 4x8 railroad with 18-inch radius curves. Well, guess what, Jack? This sucker here, it'll run on 18-inch radius. And yes, not just by itself, with cars coupled to it. And it will stay coupled to them. So even if you got a small railroad or tight curvature, you know what? You ain't stuck out. You ain't stuck displaying this on a shelf. You can have one of these if your wife is patient and understanding enough to let you spend the money on this. You can have one, you can run it, you can operate it, and you don't even need to have DCCs. This is equipped with DCC. It is equipped with a dual mode sound decoder. And so because it's a dual mode sound decoder, you can run it in DC. So guys with tight curves and the small railroads, y'all ain't stuck out. Guys like me with no DCC, we ain't stuck out either. We can run this and be good to go. Everybody happy. And I have no clue what this thing will pull. Obviously, I don't have the mainline run to really put this thing truly through its paces for HO scale, but be looking for videos of this. Undoubtedly, it will run on, since this belongs to a fellow club member, undoubtedly we will see it from time to time running on the Tesla layout once it is in an operational state. But cool as this engine is, I need to get back to my roots, and let's take a look at that Lionel locomotive. Alright y'all, now I feel comfortable back in my element. Not only are we dealing with an O-scale product, which I know well, we're also dealing with a modern locomotive, which I also know very well. I have ridden in, I don't even know how many of these SD70Ms. And yes, for my purposes, this is an SD70M. The Union Pacific Railroad owns exactly 0 SD70MACs. All of UP's SD70s were either, well, not either, they were SD70Ms. Every engine UP has that looks like this is an SD70M. So yes, I know Lionel marketed it as an SD70MAC, but that is incorrect. This is a 70M. And I will call it that. We're looking at my side of the engine, the conductor side of the engine, and as you can tell, it's fairly weathered. In my opinion, it needs a little bit more rust. If this was the real thing we were talking about, it needs to be cut up in about 800,000 freaking pieces. You have the contrasting paint for the hand railings here on the nose of the locomotive. You have the contrasting steps, paint on the edge of the steps. Snowplow on the front here, which you'll see a little better in a minute. None of these vents and grills, unfortunately, are see-through. You have some okay detailing on the trucks. You have the air brake pistons here and here. You've got the brakes, the brake shoes and whatnot here. You have the journal, the bearing journals here. Some of the shocks are present in the detailing. You have a little bit of piping detailing here. The fuel filler nozzle, the fuel gauge and the fuel filler nozzle and the sight glass. Air compressor. The hand railings are actually fairly well done, and they're a thick metal, so they do a pretty good job of resisting bending and whatnot. All of the lettering and warning labels on this engine are 100% legible. So here we are looking at the head end of the locomotive. You can see the LED ditch lights, the Lionel electro coupler, the LED headlight, number boards, separately applied windshield wipers, a few separately applied grab irons on the nose, as well as down here. Again, for O gauge, which is pretty standard, the safety chain is an actual chain. A better shot of the snowplow, you can see the MU cables, or excuse me, the MU hoses down here behind the snowplow. Here we are on the engineer's side of the locomotive, looking primarily at the cab and the head end. Again, you can see there is a UP shield here in the correct spot. There's the EMD builder's plate in the correct spot here. You even have the little F on the frame designating the front of the locomotive. Again, you have the prototypically correct contrasting colors for the hand railings and the ends of the steps. Sunshade for the locomotive engineer. There's one on the conductor side as well. I forgot to mention that. The detailing on the battery boxes here, pretty good. It's all cast on, but it's pretty good. Again, okay detailing on the trucks. I have seen better, even from this era of Lionel. And non-see-through grills. And again, the hand railing, which I really like the hand railing on this locomotive because I've handled it several times. Swapping out trains or taking it on or off the track, and it holds up, let me tell you. Here we have the center and end of the locomotive, the rear of the locomotive. You can see a separately applied handbrake wheel right here, more non-see-through, just cast on vents. Very good lettering and paint separation, very evenly applied paint on this locomotive. You can't really tell it because of the weathering job, but you know, the factory paint is still there. It's still in good shape. Contrasted colors for the ends of the handrails and the steps. More legible warnings, high voltage warnings, danger warnings. We have the rear of the locomotive. You can see no snowplow, the electro coupler, MU cables, or excuse me, MU hoses rather, MU hoses. Safety chain is actually a chain. LED headlight, separately applied grab irons, as well as even the little number boards that EMD didn't punch out, and the holes where the lights, the marker lights, are supposed to go, as EMD left them in place. That is actually very prototypically correct for the UP SD70Ms. Let's take a look at the top of this engine. Alright, so here we have the top of the locomotive. As you can see, you have, this is a non-see-through grill. These grills back here on the rear over the dynamic brake cooling grid, those are actually see-through. You've got the horn here, You've got the exhaust stack here, and yes, this locomotive does smoke. Fairly straightforward, a lot of cast-on detailing. Very few of the vents, with the exception of the dynamic brake cooling grid fans, are see-through. And then you have the antenna array up top here. So a couple things about this locomotive that I neglected to mention. First of all, it is TMCC equipped, not legacy, TMCC. You can still run a TMCC engine on a legacy with the legacy system, so don't worry there. You can run a legacy locomotive on a TMCC system. So if you got the reverse situation where you have TMCC with legacy engines, you're good to go. This is a TMCC engine. It is compatible with DCS with a TMCC command base, and it is compatible with a legacy system with no additional equipment needed. Secondly, blind inner axles. There are no flanges on the wheels of these inner axles. That allows this locomotive to take much tighter curvature than it looks good doing so. This engine will operate on 036. So again, another situation of if you got a small railroad with tight curvature, but you find one of these, you want to run it, don't worry, you ain't stuck out. Go on ahead and get it. It ain't going to be a shelf queen. You can run it. Now, this will not have a separate run video like the turbine will. The reason being is because by this point, I did almost a solid month of run videos with this and that GP60 and another locomotive that you'll see in the next quarterly review. So there's footage out there of this guy doing its thing. I'm not gonna reset the South Texas Railroad to shoot a video of this guy when there's about 3 hours of footage on the channel by this point of this guy running around on the railroad.